And this segment is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sports booking app. And for all of the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code Moats, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. Deke, I don't know how you feel about that, but
it's a decent chunk of change.
I mean, it's decent, and it's essentially free money when you make your deposit. So I kind of like that if you like that.
Especially if you're going to do it anyway.
Which we all are going to do anyways.
Yeah, we love our sports. We love our money.
Without a doubt. So if you are in the same boat as us and you haven't downloaded the app just yet, make sure you download DraftKings Sportsbook, use the promo code, and get an opportunity to make a little money. So with that being said, shout out to Tattooed 954. We these first 4 questions are all from my from these badged people that we saw, right? All right, so Tattooed 954 says, "Are we a better team with Ben throwing the ball 90% of the time? We need a running game for the playoffs. I enjoy watching. Keep up the great work. AFC North champs, hashtag Steelers for life." You better believe it, baby. But in terms of are we a better team when Ben throws 90% of the time? As long as he's accurate. If he's accurate and the ball placement is where it needs to be and the receivers are catching, it's fine. We saw that in the second half. The big difference between first and second half was, number 1, ball placement and accuracy, and number 2, catching these passes. In the second half, they did that at a higher clip. Even the pass to Deontay Johnson for the touchdown, we've seen them take shots before, and that was the thing too. People looked at that play and were beating their chest like, oh, Ben can't throw the deep ball. We're not saying that he can't. We're just saying the past 10 deep balls that we had saw up until that point, that was probably his only, first or second one that he completed. So not saying that he can't, but we just need it more consistently. Now, if he can consistently hit those passes, yes, you can throw the ball like that. That's what happened the first couple of games of the year, right? We were connecting a lot of these passes, and if we weren't connecting, we drew the pass interference penalties, which we did yesterday in the second half. We saw them connect on the deep balls. We saw them draw the pass interference penalties. That's how this offense has operated all season. They haven't had this where, oh man, we're going to pound the ball and that's our identity. Even the 5 games where they did have a 100-yard rusher, it was still more.
The one was 50 at the end of the game.
It was a breakout run at the end. We didn't see a lot of.
Even the Jaguars didn't have like 80.
Yes.
You never felt like, wow, we have a running game going forward.
It never felt like that. So what we saw in the second half has been their recipe for success. It just, yesterday, it actually worked out in terms of them completing the passes and getting those penalties. If they continue to do that, they're fine. The problem is the consistency of it. When you have to constantly depend on a referee for a pass interference penalty, we see how we went through a span where it felt like we weren't getting those calls anymore. When you have to depend on a 50-50 percentage in terms of your deep ball passing, it's probably a little bit less than that based off of Ben's passing, 25 or 30 yard passes downfield this season. If you look at the statistics, probably less than 50%. But either way, when you're just getting it and just chucking it up and hoping for one of those 2 things to happen, it's hard to consistently build on that. And that was the biggest issue. And that's why when you can't do those things consistently, you have to talk about the run game a lot more. You have to put more effort to running the ball. But as long as 7 and those receivers can stay on the same page and it actually connect like they did yesterday, you can't operate like that.
I thought it was 2 things. One is we did start taking these deep shots in the second half when we were connecting. I think that keeps the defense honest. We talked about that. How do we try to separate out of this short passing game? The 2 ways to do it is either you start running the ball or you start taking some shots down deep just to mix the defense up a little bit. So we were able to do that. 2, I think the offensive line played pretty good.
They did. They definitely did.
Ben was back there, and he'd be back there for a few seconds. He'd be able to scan the field. You'd see some vintage Ben too running out of the pocket. So
man.
Yeah, those were the 2 good things. I don't know how much of it has to do with my man Dotson being in there, but dude, I thought the line played good, and just us being able to take those deep shots. It was literally night and day from the first and second half. Like, it did look like the second half looked like some of those games, like the Bengals game, like the Eagles game. Just some of those ones early on where we were taking some of these deep shots. We were talking really highly about Claypool and this offense and these receivers. So you're right. I think if we could do that, because you even saw a little bit of running. It wasn't
it was just enough situationally, just enough to keep you honest. And the play spit too. I think James had the 12-yard run off of a little draw. Like, you saw those type of things happen because of that. You're absolutely right, man.
Dude, these running backs are just making me look bad, dude. Connor's RB1 now.
My only thing is this. We rushed for what? I think it was 40 yards. Did we get
He
more?
looked like the best running back yesterday. He did. And this might have been the best. Some of his runs and stuff, like his cuts.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
He did. This in Jacksonville. Yes.
What do we do with this?
I don't think
I'm the one that's always making the hot takes. That's my problem.
Because we actually do got one,
Okay.
but we'll get to that too, man. Because they did ask a little bit about that, and I don't want to do it a disservice.
Sure,
and give them like a little answer here, so we'll definitely dive into
But
that.
I think Connor playing well helped too.
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
Mainly offensive line and just us being able to take the shots. So I don't.
No, I was going to get you for a second because
all right.
I know you're a Dotson guy, and typically you only associate Dotson with the run game. But then right there, you talked about Dotson before the pass, even though the run game with him in there still wasn't the best.
I saw some good things in the second half, but I will say this: there was actually maybe rewatching the game this morning. There was like a play or two I saw Dotson kind of get pushed back a little bit, but I saw some other times he was keeping the guys in check.
All right.
I will say that.
Yeah, I was just like, all right, I'm ready to know. But no, they definitely played a lot better. And they did what we said when we talked about our offense. We said the biggest mismatch was going to be what? Our receivers against their DBs. Our offensive line being able to hold up the way they did, because that was the concern. We said, can they hold up? Because that Bengals game, they could not do it. They started showing signs of weakness. We saw Washington. We talked about Buffalo. It just didn't look good. So to see them be able to stand up like that 4 quarters, man, that really gave us the opportunity to highlight these guys on the perimeter. And then you put in a second half Ben where his accuracy was hitting. He was connecting on these downfield passes. And now you get that vintage look, that perfect storm. But I feel like it all still boils down to which Ben you're going to get. Are you going to get the accurate Ben? Are you going to get the one that can connect on these deep shots? Because people act as if we weren't throwing the ball deep these past couple of games on a losing streak. We were. We just weren't connecting. It was just, all right, just chuck it up there and hope for the best, and it never worked out for us. Yesterday, it just so happened that we connected on one of them. Then we connected on another. Then we drew a penalty, and it made everything feel a lot better. But it still was very much our MO. It was still very much what we do. It wasn't this, man, super intricate, different plan. This is who we are. And when we connect like that, we're going to be really tough to beat.